One of the other layers that I think about and look at when it comes to this point is it's almost like this bookmark every single year where I get the opportunity to go and talk to like my tax accountant to actually say, hey, where do I sit here? What are we actually looking at? But you and I talk about how you don't do it at the 30th of June or after it, to your point, where you actually do it prior to it. Is there anything else outside of like the tax loss harvesting and reassessing where you're at that you talk to them about?
Yeah, massively. So for me here, like as soon as Q1 finishes, that's the signal to go and actually speak to my accountant.
So like 31st of March, bam.
Yeah, in the calendar, goes off, time to talk to the accountant. Reason for that is that if you've ever been to a florist on Valentine's Day or a fish and chip shop on Good Friday, is that if you go and try and talk to your accountant closer to June 30 or in July, they're so busy that it's going to be difficult to get the space to do things. It's also going to give you a very narrow window of time where you can actually make changes.
Totally.
So if you have a conversation in, let's say, May, right, with your accountant, is you've still got room to do things. And I would even argue in property, it's better to do it in potentially April, because if you want to sell a property, that's not a quick process.
Yep.
So if you want to get a transaction in before the June 30 cutoff for a particular year, you want to have some time on your side. You really do. So I think that's a very appropriate thinking. The next thing that comes into that is when I speak with my accountant, one of the first things I'm asking them is looking at what my tax or payable tax is for the year. So I love about property, it's so forecastable, right? We know the rents
So
already.
predictable.
Yeah, you should be able to forecast your tax payable or receivable, depending on what your situation is. Looking at that very, very almost to the T by this time. Like anything you change from here, and I realize like a repair may come out that's unforeseen and you couldn't necessarily predict that. But compared to like some businesses where you don't know what sales are going to be, right? This is a very predictable model. So I would speak to my accountant and go, well, if things go relative as they are, what am I up for from a tax position? And that might be land tax. That might be accounting fees for your structures. There might be changes and a whole bunch of stuff that go into it you might need to be aware of. So I would very much do that. And having your books up to date is a requirement on that as well. For there to be an accurate representation of how much tax you need to pay, you would need your books to be up to date to forecast that. So, for all the property people out there that don't really keep up to date books, this is just another reason to get on top of that. And then the thing I do after that with my accountant is actually go through the plan and strategy for the following year. So if I may say to them in this case is going, hey, I'm actually thinking about buying another property next year. Or next year we're having a gap year. We're going to consolidate, maybe do some renovations or something, but we're very much looking at doing it this and be looking for them to how to do things appropriately as well. So again, this is one of those things where you would want to lean on your accounting team and your finance team and your mortgage broker to know what's appropriate if you do have plans and where you're trying to get to.
I think that's one of the layers that is missed the most, is actually communicating to where you're trying to get to your tax accountant. They're not just a compliance person. They're not just there to tick a box and sign.
But they're not mind readers.
No, it's totally. But there are things that they can do with the information that you provide them. Like if they're just sitting there saying, hey, like if you're sitting there saying, can you just go and complete my tax for the end of the financial year? They will do that. But if you sit there and say, hey, we've got to do this, is there any move that I should make or any things that I should be aware of as we lead up towards the end of the financial year? / anything that we should look into for next year because I'm looking to acquire 2 additional properties. What should we do now? Like they have the information, they have the knowledge to help you with it. It's the only barrier is you actually talking to them about the thing.
Completely.
I find too many people just hold that close to their chest.
I've been astonishingly amazed by how many people expect their accountant and their mortgage broker to be the ones providing the strategy or the insights on your goals, where it's like, they're very much the idea is like, let's just use an arbitrage thing. Let's say you're someone and you're at 3 properties right now and things are going pretty well. Right, so you got 3 good assets, your income's pretty good, maybe you got some money in super and stuff. Like overall, you're in a good financial position. You go to your accountant, he looks at it and goes, man, you're killing it. He's not going to know from that perspective. He might think this is it.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're in a strong position.
You've hit what you want.
Yeah, maybe he's looking at it and going, for your age and stuff, you're doing really well. I wouldn't change anything. But maybe your plans is, do you know what? I want to buy another 3 properties in the next year. What does it need to look like so I can do that?
Yeah.
For people that are in my situation, how have they made the jump to the next 3 properties or 5 properties? And I love that question. If you can get in an opportunity to speak with your mortgage broker, an accountant, and your financial planner, if you have one, and go, for people that have been in a similar position like me and want to get to here, how have they done it?
What have they done? Yeah.
Yeah, get the sequencing and stuff of someone who's been in that, because a huge gap, and I recognize this in myself, when we started to go from, let's say, 5 properties to 10 properties, whole different set of challenges. And it is not fun being surprised by those challenges. They were very knowable challenges that just no one told us because we didn't ask. We didn't know to ask.
All right, fellow property investor. If you loved the value from this short video and wanted to know more about how you can win at property investing, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now. Alternatively, click subscribe and you'll never miss another one of these videos.